Hey everybody, my name's Dave Matfield, and I'm the Creative Director of Presentation Design at VerdanaBold. Today we're going to look at 3 different ways to make a data slide more scannable and help tell a stronger story. 1. Consider the content. 2. Streamline the layout. 3. Pop key visuals. We often think about scannable slides using this framework, so we're going to show specific solutions addressing these 3 areas. Okay, here's the slide we're going to look at today. It's another slide talking about the adoption of Open Educational Resources, or OER for short. If you recall from a few videos ago, we did another infographic on this topic. Looking at this slide, I can see there are a lot of things going on, including 3 separate infographics. So the first thing we're going to do is divide this content into 2 slides. The first thing I notice after diving into the content of this slide is that there's a lot of information for K through 8th grade teachers, and not much for high school teachers. In fact, the results are so unclear that I think it muddies the waters of the message, and I propose that we remove the middle section and treat that as a footnote, or give it its own slide. I'm taking the survey that shows teacher satisfaction levels with OER and keeping it on the first slide, and I've created a second slide containing the chart that shows what aspects of OER are most likely to encourage teachers to adopt them into their curriculum. Each of these can breathe a bit now that they're on their own slides, but I want to focus up the layout even further to help sharpen the story. We're going to start by moving the key message for each slide into the title. This is also a content tip, so really it's doing twice the work, making your message more prominent and making your data more clear. Looking closer at this slide, I think there's definitely some stuff that we can delete and some things we can move around. We've got a decently descriptive headline, we've got a subtitle, we've got what I'm calling the takeaway, and we've got a chart title for the chart below. I want to improve the layout by further making some more room, and I think there's some things we can easily cut. I don't think this subhead's doing a lot for us, so I'm going to recommend we get rid of this. I think the takeaway is excellent, and we should move it up to the title. And I'm not sure we need this bar explaining the K through 8 anymore. If you remember, when we started this slide, it featured K through 8 and 9 through 12, but we omitted that data because it was so unclear. Let's get rid of this too. I do miss the fact that it said teachers in the title, and I want to add that back in. I think it really helps prime the audience to know what we're talking about. I'm going to change it to say, teachers show satisfaction with OER, leaving room for improvement. I know this is a small thing, but I also think we should add teachers down here. I'm going to make it say, teachers, how satisfied are you with OER quality along the following dimensions? I think we can get rid of along the following dimensions as well. Teachers, how satisfied are you with OER quality? Let's take a look at the other chart. The second slide features a chart that highlights the specific benefits of OER and which ones teachers are most likely to cite as reasons for adoption. Let's start by getting rid of the subhead and rule from the previous slide. Once again, I think that the takeaway for this chart would make a really excellent slide title. I'm going to take what it says and slightly modify it and put it into the title. Quality and efficacy are main drivers in adoption. Now that we've focused on the story by streamlining the layout, let's see how we can help make the data pop more visually. In this case, we want to pump up the key figures to be stronger, and we can add color coding to reinforce the connection between the story and the data. I went ahead and reworked these ahead of time, so let's talk about my changes and how they make it pop. So here we have slide 1 of 2. It has the same header, and it has the same chart title. But we've redesigned the chart to give it that pop. Being that 76% of teachers are either satisfied or very satisfied with OER, I wanted to make sure that that callout was visually prominent. What I chose to do was call out these 2 data points and map them back to the pie chart. The 21% of teachers that are very satisfied is the same color as the 21% portion of the ring, I also put these data callouts in conversation bubbles, just to help reinforce the audience that these were things that were actually said. This callout also similarly maps to the 55% portion of the ring. For those who responded neutral, I went with a neutral color. And for those that were unsatisfied, I went with a slightly more urgent pink. By leaning into the important areas, dark colors, big numbers, we've given the data that pop that we've talked about. This really helps guide the audience to the most important points. Let's take a look at the second half. So again, this is the same headline and chart title that we talked about when we were making content layout decisions. I wanted there to be some continuity between these slides, so I carried over the dialogue bubble from the previous slide and framed up the question inside it. Doubling down on the bubble aspect, I decided to put the teacher responses in bubbles too. I assigned more size and a darker color to the prominent answers. I also added icons to help reinforce the learning. The answers that were less important to the survey were given a screened back gray appearance. This helps the audience focus on the more important areas first. Taken as a whole, these changes help give the two slides a more unified aesthetic, and they give it that needed pop to help guide the audience directly to the information that's most important. Let's recap what we just did. To make this slide clear and scannable, we refined it in 3 ways: through content, layout, and pop. We considered the content by dividing it across 2 slides. We streamlined the layout, moving the key messaging into the title. And we popped the key visuals by emphasizing the important data points and being purposeful with our use of color coding. If you found this helpful, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. I wish you all the best of luck in taking some of the things we talked about here and applying them to your own slides. It might take a bit of practice, but I'm confident that you can start creating smarter infographics in no time.